All right, good evening, family. Good evening, good Wednesday evening, family. Today is Wednesday, September 23rd, 2020, and welcome to this week's edition of Dialogues with Doc. I am so excited to have you guys with me on this evening. Give me 1 second to change something real quick. And I wanted to say thank you guys so much for supporting me these last few weeks. This has truly been a labor of love as I continually each and every week bring forth great topics and great conversation and dialogue and amazing guests to you. This week is nothing short of amazing, and it's going to top what we talked about last week and a week before that and a week before that, because I have a lot of Black girl magic in the room. I am so excited to be invited to the conversation tonight with these amazing individuals who I'm gonna bring on here shortly as we talk about the Black female educator. So tonight's topic is the Black female educator edition, and I have some amazing, phenomenal women on the conversation with me on tonight as we talk about how they successfully navigated through this thing. They're going to offer some insight, some tools for the road, and we're going to even have a little fun with them as well as we travel throughout tonight's conversation. But before we get started, as always, I have to know where everybody is watching from. So if you're in the chat and you're watching on either of our platforms, YouTube or Facebook Live, do me a favor, go ahead and share the broadcast because this is going to be an amazing topic on tonight. And if you're watching, go ahead and tell me where you are watching from. Cousin, I see you in the building. UNT is in the building, definitely. Cousin, let's go. I see you. Hey, Thomas, how's it going, brother? I hope all is well with you in Kentucky, and I'm definitely praying for you, man, after what I saw on the news just a little bit earlier, man. So please stay safe down there, Thomas. Where you guys watching from? Let me make sure my words are right. Dad's in the building. I see him. Let me make sure I say everything politically correct. Because Dad is watching, so him that's watching from South Lake. My cousin supports me each and every week, so I appreciate you. I love you. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching. The Mean Green is definitely in the building. Who else is watching? I heard Paul Quinn was in the building as well. I heard there are a bunch of other schools in the building as well. So if you're watching us tonight live, go ahead and let us know where you are watching from. Yeah, I'm so excited. Tonight's going to be bomb. Zeta Ada is definitely in the building. So tonight's topic is basically a couple weeks ago, if you've been watching the show, I did a Black male educators edition. And oftentimes things become so one-sided in the world today that we look at it from one perspective. And as an educator, I feel like it's very important to look at things from different spectrums. So how can you do a Black male educator edition and not do a Black female educator edition? So tonight I'm doing the Black female educator edition. I have some amazing, phenomenal ladies on the line with me tonight. I'm so excited. If you guys do me one favor, oblige me like you always do. Of course, when they come on Dialogues with Doc, I have to bring them on the right way. So give me 1 second to set that up. And I'm going to bring my guests on in the room as I welcome them the right way. Round of applause for the ladies who are joining me on tonight. I am so excited to have them with me. Ladies, how are you doing this evening?
Doing great.
Doing good.
I'm so excited to have you guys on here with me. Give me 1 second to change something. I don't like what I see. Let me. You know me by now. You know I'm a perfectionist. Hold on. I gotta get some color in that background. Give me 1 second. Now I'm good. Okay. Now I'm good. Okay. So, ladies, thank you so much for answering the call to join me tonight on this week's edition of Dialogues with Doc. I'm gonna go ahead because you guys are here, you guys are fired up, you guys are ready. I'm gonna just go ahead and take a minute and just start this conversation off the right way. So go ahead and I'll start at the top. Tania, we'll go around and just tell us who you are, where you're from, and what it is that you actually do.
All right. Well, my name is Tania McGee. It's kind of odd still for me to say this. Got married about a year ago, but just recently changed my name. So ladies, if you are married, you know how that dilemma goes. But my name is Tania McGee, and I reside in Knoxville, Tennessee. Currently, I serve as the Assistant Director for the Office of Sorting Fraternity Life. I've been in higher ed for about 14 years, and so I've seen the spectrum of working in that field, from first-generation college students, multicultural centers, fraternity and sorority life, student conduct, and the whole gamut. And so it's kind of interesting. We're going to be talking about those intersections of education, what that actually means. And so I have the privilege of working with our cultural-based fraternities and sororities, but have a footprint in a lot of different areas of helping underrepresented populations in higher ed.
Thank you for joining me tonight.
Thank you.
Miss Carter, Mrs. Carter.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What's going on with you? Tell us about it.
It's hard to go after Tania. That was a beautiful introduction she just did. But I'll just tell you, my name is Mrs. Ada Carter. I have the honor of serving as the principal of Sequoia Elementary School in Oakland Unified School District. But I'm from Dallas, Texas. I know the ladies and you in this group from, my stomping grounds at University of North Texas, and pledging one of those NPHC sororities, the amazing Zeta Eta chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. I'm in Oakland by way of being mostly a high school marching band director and band director in general for different programs in Texas and in Maryland, and then moved on to instructional coaching and then assistant principal, and am now in my second year as principal. So very glad to be here and to bring the lens that I have in my role.
Thank you so much. I'm gonna let KP round it out. KS, Cherish, go ahead.
Hi, everybody. My name is Kendra Sanders, and I am an assistant principal in Fort Worth ISD. This is my 17th year in education. I've been an administrator for about 7 years, but I've been a college coach, volleyball. I have been a high school volleyball coach, science teacher, counselor, and now an assistant principal. I know Mr. Dr. Green from Paul Quinn College. So it's very exciting to be here sitting on this panel with you ladies. I'm so glad that I was invited to be here just to share my perspective in the role of an assistant principal in a large urban school district, and kind of the things that I see on the day-to-day. So very excited to be here.
Thank you. Mrs. Pipkins, what's going on?
Hey, Doc Green, I'm so glad to be with you all this evening. My name is Cherish Pipkins. I am the CEO at Rolling Hills Elementary. I'm the Chief Encouragement Officer for my elementary campus. I'm all about pouring into my students and staff. And some of you probably know that as the principal. That's my official title, but I do so much more than that. I am in Lancaster ISD. Lancaster is right outside of Dallas. We're a southwest suburb of Dallas. And I come to you by way of Oak Cliff, Texas and Lancaster, Texas. Doc, I know you from elementary school in Oak Cliff. So yeah, just glad to be here this evening.
So I want to share something with my guests that are watching. So when you look at this panel tonight, I have known all of these ladies between 15 to 30
now
years.
She's starting to ages.
Yeah. Hold on.
I'm speaking from the longevity of, I've known Cherish in elementary school. It's over 30 years ago.
Right.
Like, this is crazy. Like, for this to come full circle, I've known each of you guys for so long, and we're all doing great work in the field of education. So that's what made me say, I know who to ask. Let me get them on tonight and see how we can dive into this thing from a different perspective. It's not. I don't like to do things the typical question. So just bear with me tonight, and we'll go from there. Okay. So my first question is for my panelists, and anybody can jump in. What is your personal philosophy as it relates to the work that you do? So we wake up early, we go to bed late, we try to eat at some point throughout the day. What is your personal philosophy as it relates to the work that you do each and every day? And anybody can jump in.
Well, I'll jump in. I've had the same philosophy since I became a building principal, a building leader. I always say, and I believe this with my whole heart, I want my staff to love coming to work, and I want my students to love coming to school. And so all of my decisions, my thought process, it's about how do I bring that energy and that passion from every stakeholder so that they want to be attached to the school.
Love it. I love it. I love it. Anybody else?
I think for me, I intentionally try to look at which ways I can make an impact each day. I think given this current climate, it challenges what we're facing, particularly as women of color and African Americans. And so Eric Thomas did it. He's a motivational speaker, if you know who he is. And sometimes we can get stuck in a situation. I actually have a tattoo on my arm that says the book of life, turn the pages. And so I oftentimes encourage people to continue to turn life pages because we get stuck in different areas. And so in the midst of things, I have a little Zoom background that has weeds. I'm like, in the midst of these weeds, there's light. So I'm gonna find my light each and every day. And so each opportunity, whether it's for myself or for my students, I try to provide those open doors of opportunities.
I love it. I love it. Ada or Kendra, did you guys want to chime in?
I was just gonna say, like, I think just in life, I try to not really portray, but really just shine my light. Because I think overall I'm a positive person. And so I take that outlook into pretty much everything that I do. No matter what the situation is, there's always something positive that can be seen in a negative situation. And so I think even with the staff, they know that about me. They know that I always keep a calm mind and spirit about me. And so I just, that's how I attack my day. I'm positive from the moment I wake up in the morning, which is pretty early. I get up about 4:15 every day so I can go work out because I need that time to, just get those, whatever it is I need to work through. I work through it. So when I get to work, I'm shining that positive light because like you said, Tania, in this climate that we're experiencing right now, like it's so much negative going on. Like we need to have something that we can just be positive about. So that's my philosophy, being positive.
Right. All the way from Oakland.
Okay, I'll be brief. Okay? But for me, my philosophy is honestly, it's a work in progress because I feel like now my philosophy is somewhat becoming a problem during distance learning, right? Because my approach to the job has always been be excellent. Right. And so that means if I have to stay up extra late or wake up extra early, I'm going to do my part to make sure that the staff has what they need, to make sure that the students have what they need. And so it's just all about always showing excellence, modeling excellence, and pursuing it constantly. But so I say that it's a bit problematic because in distance learning, when I am in front of the computer, it's kind of hard to separate when my work day ends, and I can sit here and just be here all day long. And I think that's problematic. That's not healthy for me. It's not healthy for my family. So it's a work in progress, getting to where that's a balanced pursuit of excellence and not detrimental to me and my family. But that still is something that I constantly am working towards. How can I show excellence as an African-American leader in education?
I love it. I love it. I'm going to take that question and kind of tweak it a little bit because the field that we work in, I hate to say babies, but for some of us, they're babies and some of us, they're young adults. They're easy to work with, but how is it motivating adults? like sometimes sometimes it's not the children that we work with. Sometimes it's the adults that we have to manage and that we have to supervise. How challenging is that as it relates to your personal philosophy? Like, I know I'm working on it each and every day. I need Ayala some days, but I'm making it.
Well, for me anyway, that's the hardest part of the job. The kids are easy. The adults are the one that you have to be creative in how you present things, right? To get buy-in so that they'll give something a try, right? But that's the challenging part, is being convincing enough that some new idea is worth a try, or to reflect on things that have been happening to make improvements. So definitely that's the hard part.
Tasha, you made a good point. Tasha's why. Hey, Tasha, she says it's important to put excellence on display. Cutting off the work day is a work in progress. Yes, I totally agree. I'm not gonna lie, to be honest with you guys. Right before COVID hit our nation, I had finally gotten to the point where I left work at work, and I had that good work-life balance. And then COVID struck, and we're potentially working from home. It's like, okay, now I gotta try to recalibrate everything. Because now I still find myself, I'll work my regular hours, I'll go run or I'll go walk, and I'll come back and I'm trying to relax, and oh dang, I forgot to send that email. Or let me follow up on that. So I'm working again at 9 o'clock. So trust me, I totally understand what Tasha is saying. My cousin's watching. Hey, wait, Ray, I see you, man. Cherish, Tasha says, hey.
Hey, y'all.
And way to represent, Cherish Pipkins. That's my cousin, Marlon Waste.
That's my colleague.
That's my kinfolk.
Okay.
Wow. Okay. I'm gonna go to the next question. What made you enter the field of education? So what made you say, for me, I was a career changer. So for me, it wasn't, when we grew up, people went to church to be preachers, teachers, lawyers, and doctors.
Right.
Somehow I ended up with a business degree from Paul Quinn and ended up in education. But what made you enter the field of education?
I think for me, it's a little different because I work in higher ed, right? And so not Doc, but a Doc would know Doc, not you, Doc, but our Doc, Dr. Hill, in our multicultural center. I tell people, so I'm going to make this disclaimer. I went to a PWI and I went to an HBCU. Right. And so I said HBCU is a lived Black experience. A PWI is a learned Black experience. And so to that point, when I did my practicum research at Clark Atlanta, it was about how I got more of a Black identity and my PWI than an HBCU. And I'll make this disclaimer. Dr. Hill was a product of an HBCU. So she was intentional to expose us to the elements as if we were at an HBCU. We jokingly, Adai and I back in the day came from the generation where they used to call UNT a little HBCU. We weren't rocking those shirts like they did, being disrespectful. But that was the running joke, right? Because she exposed us to those elements and that virtue of an HBCU. When I went to my HBCU, because it was in grad school, I got more of the capitalistic side of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so when I talk about that lived experience, it was because of Dr. Hill saying, you need to get into this Africana woman studies class. You need to create some mentoring program. We can't create a mentoring program. Now it's a full-fledged job. I'm like, shoot, hire me back for the position I created. Right? And so I think it's those people at UNT that saw that spirit of excellence and what I needed to do who inspired me. Now, to your point, I didn't know how to navigate that. I originally started off as an education major, right? So I knew I wanted to teach, but what exactly that looked like. So I was hopped around a little bit. So shout out to my parents for being a little patient for me to find my but I found it because I didn't know, studying higher ed or CSP programs. Nobody told me that navigation, but when I landed in the spirit of higher ed, I was able to give back what was given to me. You meet people from Paul Quinn and you hear from the president there, Michael Sorrell that's there.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Like, this man is amazing. I had the privilege of working at Houston-Tillotson University, HBCU in Austin, Texas, and I heard him speak at Wiley College and was just like amazed. This man took a school that was borderline bankrupt to where it's about to open a satellite school. So being in contact with individuals like that, but also having connections, particularly Adai and I had the opportunity to serve on an organization to serve for African Americans on a predominantly white campus. And so through those leadership opportunities I have on campus, being a part of a sorority, the Adai part of Delta Sigma Theta, I'm part of Zeta Phi Beta, and we all had opportunities to collaborate with one another. So those exposures inspire me to give me footprints to get me where I am right now.
Yeah.
I love it. I'm gonna come back to you, Tania, because I got something for you. Who
Well,
in here?
I was gonna say now, I never wanted to be a teacher, ever. I actually wanted to be a doctor, and I am a biology major. That's what my degree is in. And I actually went to a program at Ohio University, for minority students who wanted to be doctors. It gave us a 6-week opportunity to be able to take those classes like you would as a first year, student.
Mm-hmm.
And some life things happened to me. I was pregnant with my oldest daughter. And so it kind of was one of those things where I had to come home and I needed a job. And so one of my professors from Paul Quinn actually gave me my first teaching position. It was kind of one of those things where, a friend was like, hey, are you interested in teaching? I was like, no. But anyway, I needed a job. And so I ended up having my first teaching job at Kennedy Curry Middle School in Wilma Hutchins ISD. It was right down the street from Paul Quinn.
Listen.
And so anyway, after that first year and some of the things that I experienced as a first year teacher, the connections I made with staff and also those kids, I couldn't see myself doing anything else. I have been in middle school ever since. It's just something about the middle school kids that reminds me so much of myself when I was in middle school, because I was off the chain. And just to be able to touch those kids and them to me still be a part of their life to this day. Some of these kids invite me to their weddings, their baby showers, their graduations, college graduations, all kind of stuff, and it's just been such a rewarding experience. And to think that I always was like, I will never be a teacher or whatever, that was always my thing. I was like, no teaching, no. But I've made so many connections. I mean, through coaching, because I love sports, just through coaching and just being able to touch and mentor these young girls, because I think is very much needed. Even though there are a lot of Black females, in education, honestly, there's not a lot of people who are willing to take the time to really get to know these kids and build relationships the way that they should, long-lasting relationships. Because it's one thing to come into the life of a student and just be there for a moment, but some of these kids need guidance, and not everybody's willing to do that. And so I think that's kind of what's held me here. All the times I come home and been told my husband, oh my God, I'm quitting tomorrow, but it's something about the connection you make with the kids and even some of the adults that you work with that keeps you here. So it wasn't my first choice, but it has grown on me, and I couldn't see myself doing anything else, honestly.
I like what you said about the guidance. So I'm gonna come back to that. Cherry or Ada.
So many connections here. Like you said, I did not think that I would be in education. That just wasn't the path that I thought I would take. And like a lot of young people, I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up. I just felt like I didn't have exposure to a lot of different careers. And so when you're not exposed, you just don't know, doctor, teacher, lawyer, but I didn't feel like any of those were for me. I went to Southern Methodist University. That's where my bachelor's degree is from. And my degree is corporate communications and public affairs. So my internship that I had my senior year led me to my first professional job, and that was in community affairs for an aircraft company in the area. And I enjoyed the job. It was a great job. We did event planning. I wrote speeches. It was amazing, but I wanted more influence and more impact. And so I thought about the professionals that really helped me at SMU, the people who worked in the offices, who encouraged all of the students, the people where we would hang out with those professionals because they just really poured into us. And so Tania Masters is in higher education. And so I actually worked in higher ed. I worked at the University of North Texas while I was working on my master's degree. I did their Eagle Camp. I planned the freshman camps for them. I was over a mentoring program. And then I was thinking, these are pretty much adults. They know what path they want to take. They don't need me. And that's what led me to elementary education. So I started working at my church's summer day camp. I would work there during the day, and I would work on my alternative certification program in the evening. And the classes that I took, I would practice and work with those kids in the summer day camp program. And that led me to elementary education. And I haven't looked back since, because I feel like I'm able to shape lives and mold lives and, again, encourage people. And I feel like I'm paying back all those amazing elementary educators that I had. I mean, top-notch teachers I had from kindergarten through third grade. I feel like they've poured into me, and it's just my duty, my responsibility to do the same for the next generation.
I love it. I love it. I love it. It's our duty. This is a part of our why. This is why we do this thing. And every day we're reminded of why we do this thing, even on the days when we have to pull ourselves up by our own bootstraps and go in, and you're like, am I really going to make a difference today? It's that one kid that comes up and gives you the hug or the tap, or we got to think of something else new once COVID passes, because they can't do all that right now. We're going to figure it out. Ada, do you want to jump in?
Sure. For me, Honestly, I've missed my calling. I'm not meant to do this job. So just watch for some updates. I'm going to eventually be working for Google because that's actually what I really want to do. I want to be in technology. But we'll see if they'll give me a job. I've applied and they haven't responded to anything. I'm serious, but I'm joking a little bit as well. I'm in education because it's our family business. My mom, my dad, my sister, my grandmother, and countless generations, I'm sure. This is like, we grow up learning, like we played school, every day at home. So, it was kind of like, there was not too much thinking about it that I really had to do. I knew that was something that I could do, and that if I pursued that I could do well. And so I've really enjoyed it. I felt passionate about it year to year. And so it's a place that I've made connections and have been able to navigate and make, the network of being an educator and then into becoming a leader in education. And Tania's talked about, not knowing the path to get to where she wanted to go. But for me in education, though, don't get me wrong, I definitely had mentors that poured into me and helped me along the way. But it was, education is a field that, like I said, I was born and raised in it. So I kind of knew how to get to where I wanted to get with it, which has really helped me to move up, I think, pretty quickly in education.
I love it. I love it. Thank you, ladies, so much for that. I promise you, I got some light questions in here. I just want people to understand how passionate you guys are about this thing. And it's funny because when I was putting this panel together, I reached out to everyone individually, and I reached out to Tania. And she was the last person I reached out to. And because I've been seeing what she's doing as well, she said, but I'm not a teacher. I said, yes, you are. I said, you work in higher education. I said, we teach the stuff that people don't teach. So we teach time management, organization, how to successfully navigate through the different areas of the collegiate experience. So even though you're not in a classrooms per se, I love how we have the different perspectives on the panel tonight, because you all are Black female educators in your own right, just in different veins and their different levels. So Cherish is in the elementary. KP, which area are you in? You in middle, right?
School.
Middle.
Mm-hmm.
I has the babies. Tania, you had they big cousins in a couple of years, and I'm in the high school, and I'm just invited to the ladies' room tonight to ask y'all these questions. Because this is ladies' night, and the ladies are bringing it. So on a more, I don't want to say serious scale, but I think the people need to hear from you ladies about this particular topic. So what are some challenges you face, not just being a Black female educator, but as a Black female educator in leadership? You ladies have tough jobs, and in those positions, sometimes the tough skin just doesn't cut it. Sometimes you have to get a little love and hip hopish and check a person occasionally, but professionally. And sometimes you have to be nice to that parent. But what are some challenges that you face, not just as a Black female educator, but as one in leadership?
That's a great question. It's a loaded question, but we're here to be transparent, right?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there are some superficial challenges we face. How do we look? What do we have on? How is our hair? Is that hairstyle considered professional? Who does she think she is? If you're assertive, well, then you're labeled as a bitch. If you try to be kind and considerate, well, then you're a pushover. What I have found is I can't please everybody, and I'm not going to please everybody. This is who I am every day. This is who I am. You're going to get the best of me, but I know I'm not going to please everybody. There are things that I've done and I felt like it was awesome. Heart was in the right place. And somebody came along and was like, no, we don't like that. And it can be discouraging, but what I'm finding is not about you. I always think about my students, my staff, my parents, and I'm going to work my way out through there. Everything isn't for everybody. So it's so many different levels to that. I don't know about you all ladies, but I find you're always being judged. What you look like, what you say, are you soft enough? Are you hard enough? Yeah. Right. Yeah.
And I think I take it to even a different level of that. I agree with you 110%. I think another level to think about is we have to deal with the microaggressions, right? And so particularly I've been in higher ed with my last two jobs at a PWI. And so navigating those spaces with invisible labor, because you're in the minority, the students of color that are there to you gravitate to you because you're like the only face of color that they see. Right. And so to that point is like you've been hired to do your job, but you're also mom, your big sister. And I'm like calculating age. When were you born? I'm like, oh, technically, if I started back then, you could really be my adult child right now. I'm like, y'all could be my kids. I'm like, 97, 2000.
Yep.
It do something to your psyche when you start working with college kids. And so I think it's a different level, not only how you show up in spaces, but how you advocate in those spaces. I work with culture-based groups. And so when you're representing, 10 to 12% of a campus population in different schools, sometimes they need advocacy to have that voices, but you can't give of your best self unless you're taking care of yourself. My daddy always says self-preservation is the first law of nature, right? And oftentimes, particularly as women of color, we're constantly doing this. We're pouring out, right? But who's pouring into us? And so one thing I appreciate about this pandemic is realize life is short, y'all. If we don't realize what our parents' generation, they're outliving our generation, right? We've had classmates who have died of aneurysms and strokes. That was a phone call your grandmama gave, like, oh, child, so-and-so done died. No, we like, yo, dog, so-and-so died.
Right.
And so one thing I pause is like, what's my priority in life? I have, my blood pressure been out of whack. So I got to get my blood pressure down. I got to pause right now. Let me cook me something to eat. Let me check in with my husband, because it's a different role when you start having the and roles, right? It's a different if I'm single, but then I have my partner, and then, when you have the child, and somewhere you got to fit yourself in there. So it's a lot of different layers, particularly as women of color. And sometimes those barriers, they look like us.
Yeah.
Can we talk about it?
And that's what's disheartening when you're expecting people to root for you and you don't always get it. They're not always in your corner. Yeah.
And that's a hard pill to swallow, because sometimes our men will lay the blueprint for each other, for themselves. But sometimes as women, if we haven't established that relationship, we see each other as a threat. And so we want to block each other back from navigating spaces. But it's plenty of space for people either build your own table or to sit at the table. And so until we form those relationships, in the words of my frat brother, Jared Benjamin, we keep on having these situationships. Right? And we need to start forming these relationships, because at the end of the day, if one shine, we all gonna shine.
That's right.
Yeah. I was gonna say a major challenge I see, and I've dealt with this working at a school that was predominantly white to start off with. After, like, once I became a leader, the stereotypes that they have their own stereotypes of who we are as Black women. And so I find myself having to wear a different face for different people. And sometimes that's really hard to do. It's emotionally draining, because you kind of lose sight of who you really are sometimes, because, people will try to test you. Like you said, they test you. They say some things that's really, you'd be like, well, did she just say that to me? Because they're waiting for you to give them what they've been looking for. Okay, so you have to kind of watch yourself. Sometimes I find myself biting my tongue a lot, not really saying what I really feel, because I don't know how it's going to be taken by others. I have to kind of watch how I attack different situations. So it just kind of puts us in a situation where I said, like, sometimes I come home and I'm emotionally drained, because it's just so much coming at me all at once. Just I know it's coming at me because I am a female, because the males I work with, I'm the only female administrator on my campus. The other two they're males. So, I gotta take on some things with them too. And I find myself being the one that everybody turns to for the organization sometimes, and how I handle certain situations, because I don't fly off the handle right off the bat. So I gotta be a listener. Like I find myself counseling people. I'm like, I'm wearing a lot of roles. So it's draining sometimes. But I have to take myself back to, that's why I do go work out every day almost, because I need that outlet. I have 2 kids. I have a 4-year-old and a almost 16-year-old, 2 totally different ends of the spectrum. I got high school and pre-K. So, I gotta have an outlet. I'll be over here going nuts. But I mean, y'all, as educators, y'all understand what I mean. Like, sometimes like you said, you have to pace yourself and really prioritize what's important, because life is short. And during this pandemic, I mean, I have created a whole business, like some things I really wanted to do. I got in my creative space. I had time to actually focus on me, and I have a business now, and it is actually pretty lucrative, you know. And that's something I would have never done before. But this time has given us time to reflect on what we need to be okay. Because sometimes, like you said, we're always pouring and pouring, but nobody's ever giving to us. And so it's important we take care of ourselves. But
love it.
I'm
I'm gonna jump to a die on this one since y'all are already leading into my next question. How do you balance everything, work, family, and making time for yourself?
That's funny.
I tie my kids up. They tied up in the room right now. That's why it's so quiet over here.
I notoriously do not do well with this, right? I mean, since I started, I mean, even personally, like in college, you know, I would go overboard with stuff with my sorority, right? Like I've never done well with this. And so I'm just going to say it still is a work in progress. I recognize how important it is, but I have not moved the needle on it yet. I'm trying. Every day is a journey.
Especially being like you're running an entire school, and you're running your household. So it's like,
well, but so that's the thing. This is why I can get away with it. You can say I run my household, but I have an amazing partner. Okay. And I couldn't do any of this without him. He does more than his fair share. But if not for what he does, I would not be able to do what I do. Like he takes, for the most part, handles everything during the day because I can't get away from my Zoom meetings. Right. But so I think that's why I can be selfish with my career, is because he is so helpful with everything at home.
It's funny. They always say behind every man is a strong woman, but we see the opposite for her to be able to, and I love it. I love it. I love it.
I was going to echo that. My husband is a huge help to me, helping. We have 3 daughters, and we have all the spectrums. We've got freshmen in high school, middle school, elementary. And they're active. They're all engaged in different activities. So we are a true partnership. And I know everyone does not have that luxury. And our mothers are amazing. My mom, his mom, they step in, they help out, they pick up, you know, they'll help us with meals. And it humbles you when you realize I can't do it all. My heart is there, but I can't. And so being able to ask someone, can you pick this child up for me? Can you get this meal ready for me? Or can I just have a break for a couple of hours, you know, on the weekend or a weekday? That really helps to kind of manage everything. But what I've come to realize in this pandemic, like you all have said, I do have to take time for myself. So Kendra, like I've started back with my workouts. They're early in the morning. But if I miss, I don't beat myself up about it. You know, I'm going to go tomorrow or the day after that. But just trying to, and that helps with balance too. I need to get rid of some of that negative energy, and that forces me to go to bed at night. I don't know about you all, but I will find myself, especially in previous years, I'm up midnight, 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, still working on my laptop, just doing stuff. Yep. So this forces me to go to bed, get the rest that I need.
Love it. Tasha said sometimes it's good to look at the walls.
It's a little hard. Look, I had to move. I had some artwork in the background because I can't look at no blank wall. But I think both of you mentioned some strong pieces. Having a strong helpmate is essential, but also whether that's meditation or that spiritual aspect. For me, I identify as a Christian. So for me, unapologetically, I'm going to read my daily bread every day. And so that's my selfish time for myself. Now, I used to be faithful to the workout. Y'all know I used to be no pic, no proof. You ain't seen no pics, so ain't been no proof. So I've been slacking on that part. But I think we have to find out that it takes a village. You know, for me, it's a little hard because I'm from Tennessee. And I'm going to say this without getting emotional, because I don't have any family here, right? And so, boom, boom, boom,
work through it.
Right, work through it. So for me, it's like I have to lean on my husband a lot. Like he's like, this don't make sense. So he's not even in higher ed. He works for the post office, right? And so he's doing that labor work while I'm doing this mental work. But like Adai said, I can fall back because I know he gonna step up and he can handle and take charge. So I'm like, hey, for me, my helpmate is a helpmate to me where I'm not as where I don't have to be strong. I know I can trust him to get the job done. And so when we're able to lean on somebody, whether it be family members, your friends, I think that's where we have to really realize we come from a collective family. And the one thing you said was, I need help. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I think all of us in education, whether it be higher ed, middle school, high school, whatever, we're dealing with students coming to campuses and schools with more mental illnesses than ever before. The anxiety levels through the roof.
Right.
And we're not taking that pause. Yeah. It's real, right. Y'all. That helpmate, that village, and what we do in higher ed, that mentorship,
yes,
is essential.
I'm coming there. Before I go there, one thing I love about Black female educators, and it is what it is. You ladies are very intuitive and good judges of character. So you're able to tell if someone says, "Oh, I want to help you with this in the workspace." You can already tell if they're genuine or if they're just shooting smoke. And most times you're accurate when you're like, "You really don't want to help me, but thank you anyway. God bless you." And me and my team gonna rock it, make it work. So it's great to have helpmates at home and in the workplace. As a matter of fact, Cherish, me and Margot sang in the choir together for years. Like I know what Margot is capable of.
Time out. Margot Spencer is the best assistant principal ever, hands down. I put her up against anybody. I hope she's watching. Margot, you are the best.
So it's good to have those people that's gonna ride with you at home and in the building. And when you can't, when you can't say something, they'll say it for you. Yeah. Marlon say helpmate and village. I love it. Somebody hashtag that helpmate and village.
Helpmate and village.
I'm gonna go there. So for these young ladies, that young ladies and young women, because we're taking things from the higher ed realm as well. How important is mentorship today? Like, there's a lot going on. God rest her soul, Breonna Taylor, even today was just unnerving for me to watch that. How important is this mentorship piece for young ladies? I know each of you have had some amazing mentors along the way that have helped pour into you, that have helped lead and help to guide you. And now that we're in the trenches doing this great work as well, how important is that for young ladies?
Right. It's critical to have a mentor and to be a mentor. You want to use your experiences, whether there are some failures that you had or your mountaintop moments. You want to use those to build someone else up, but you have to have someone else that you can call on to help you with those questions that you have, trying to balance, like we talked about, finding the help. And that's what your mentor can be. But it's critical that you turn around and help another group of people to climb up, whether it's a ladder or whatever it is that they want to do, whatever goals that they have for themselves. It's critical that you turn around and help somebody else.
I love it.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I've worked under some leaders sometimes that have the knowledge but don't share. And I've always said to myself that I didn't ever want to be that kind of leader. I'm the kind of person that if I know something, why am I holding on to it for? If you want to grow and you're willing to learn and work hard and do what you need to do, I'll share that knowledge. I have no problem with that. And I think that's what we need more of. These kids, and not just kids, these young people they're yearning for someone to pour in some positive things to them. They're exposed to so much so young. Just think about like what these elementary babies are exposed to now that we would have never seen when we were growing up, even just on regular TV or what's in their hand. They get a phone when they 2 years old. Here, be quiet, and they're watching all kind of stuff. Like it's just so much. So I think more now than ever is like, mentors are so vital in the growth of young people. Young women, young men, everybody. Everybody needs somebody to be able to, bounce ideas off of, to just be poured into.
So I've been intentional and been exposed to different people. So I'm gonna name a different element. We got mentorship, but we also need sponsorship. right?
Ooh, that's
Okay,
good.
feel that.
That's good. Yeah.
Mentorship is about that personal development, accountability. Ladies, we grew up in a generation. If we wore pantyhose, we all from Texas. If it was hot as hell, but if we had on our pantyhose, we caught a run. We knew what to do with it. Get some fingernail polish, right?
Yeah.
I went down to FLOMO, Florida Memorial University, talking to some students down there, and I asked the young ladies, "What you gonna do?" Because they still HBCU, Spirit of Excellence, wearing pantyhose. What do you do if you got to run? Just buy a new pair. They don't have that mindset to get the clear fingernail polish, right? So that speaks to the mentorship. If we went to a conference, let you show up in a Delta Sigma Theta conference and you ain't got your little pearls on and protocol established, that good season, so baby, let me talk to you, right? But nobody's talking. So that's your mentorship. That's personal development. But that's right. But that sponsorship, that's for us grown folks, right? That sponsorship is when I'm trying to navigate in workspaces, you're going to speak for me in spaces where I'm not.
Yes.
Right? So you talking my name up or you helping me navigate, you're going to challenge me in spaces. So you helping me grow. So there's a different level between mentorship and sponsorship. And so I think as we talk about peer-to-peer or those young adults, we got to look at that sponsorship or how we helping them navigate and challenge them to be the better self. As far as that mentorship, there's accountability to being your best self.
That's good. That's real good.
That's real good.
I'm still over here just like, I'm just invited to the ladies' night. Y'all just go right ahead. I'm just sitting back.
Look, the eyes there some Stella and we good. You see what I'm saying?
And I do this every show. I'm looking down because I'm taking notes because it's just so much that comes out of this thing. Because I make my little show notes, and after the fact, I go back and I take this thing back up. No, this is all good. The mentorship and the sponsorship. No one's thinking like that. Like it's just. And then KP, you said KS. I'm gonna get Sanders. I'm just so used to saying KP. The piece of we focus. I feel like we focus so much on the young men, getting the young male mentors and mentorship for the young men, but the young ladies are suffering as well too. This sex trafficking stuff is real. These kidnappings are real. These body shaming issues are real. This colorism stuff is real. So it's important that we talk about it and we have these conversations and get people in platforms in the places to put these mentorships in place for our younger scholars and these sponsorships for their big cousins that need those. Because you need somebody to check you and tell you. Somebody had to tell me, say, man, you don't wear suspenders and a belt at the same time. I know that. Somebody told me that.
Right. So if you look at some of the research though, Calvin, they're talking about particularly in high school, the only demographic that's getting suspended from high school faster than our black men are our black women.
Oh yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. So we think, because we take for granted, again, we look at our own personal lived experiences and we assume everybody got it. We got college educations. You got doctor on your name. But I bet you if you go back to Oak Cliff, Texas, that's my hood, and wherever intersections of Texas we come from, not everybody gonna understand a doctor. What do you do? Like we said, we had teachers and stuff like that. But if we don't lay that blueprint for them, then it's null and void. So when you talk about mentorship and that whole Sankofa mentality, we got to look back to know where we're going. So we can't get to these positions and start talking these vernacular. We can talk a whole nother language here, right? But if I'm a first generation college student, I had one of my students he just graduated this past spring, was a first generation, not only college, but also high school. Hear that? High school. Mm-hmm. And so when he got to college, learning this language of credit hours and all this, he doesn't know. Mom and supporters may have had admirations for him to be there, but helping him navigate that path, they don't know. And so again, we have to be able to talk to our cousins and our family. Mm-hmm. And college let me make this clear, college is not for everybody, but you're going to get some type of trade school, some type of skill set, because you got bills to pay.
You got to get something. Mm-hmm. I love where this is leading. To my next question, because we going there. How important and impactful are the lessons taught outside the classrooms? So we focus so much on the math, like my grandma would say, the reading, writing, arithmetic. It's other stuff happening outside the classroom, and as educators, especially Black female educators, how important is the stuff that they don't teach from the Eureka Maths and those type of textbooks, or even from history 1877 on the college campus? How important are those lessons outside the classroom?
It's very important. I feel like that's what's missing in this generation of students. Honestly, there's been so much focus on a test, and instruction and curriculum and this and this and that. But these kids, like my grandma said, you got all that book sense, no common sense.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's just some of the little things, like you say, we take for granted because somebody taught us that. And so these kids don't get the opportunity. I always think life skills are probably some of the most important things. And teachers sometimes don't get an opportunity to do that anymore, or at least they feel like they don't. But I think every moment is a teachable moment. And in some kind of way, you can put a life skill into what you're teaching academic wise, because it's so important. You can have all the smarts in the world and be able to do all this quantum math and all that. But if you can't, navigate your way through a conversation with somebody, face to face, what good does it do you? Because you're not going to get the job you interviewed for. If you don't know how to dress for the interview, that's life skills. You can't sew a button on your shirt, it broke. You got to go buy a whole new shirt, like stuff like that. I hate that some of those things, those skills are not being taught anymore. Those life skills, those soft skills that kids need. Because when they get to you, Tania, in college, and you trying to teach them some basic things about maybe even having a budget, because you making this, you having to work and support yourself through school, but you don't have no money to feed yourself, Right. So when you going out and buying the most expensive car you can find for whatever reason, it's all that stuff is so important, and it starts when they're young. It really does.
Mm-hmm. I want to just parallel what you just shared, talking about teaching our students life skills, but then also making them aware of the world around them. Yes. Our students have, whether they're young or whether they're college students, they have seen protests, they've seen the unrest, they're listening to the conversations of their parents, they are hearing CNN that's probably in the background. Even today's news and the reports with the Breonna Taylor case, all of that is happening. And what I want to make sure that kids are sponges, that they're absorbing that. So the frustration of their parents, the intense news reporting, they're taking all of that in. And so as educators, we have to give them outlets to talk about that, to dialogue about that, to check in with their feelings. This year, my campus theme is We Matter, because I wanted my students to know, regardless of what's happening, you are important, you have value. Yes, you come from a predominantly Black community, and that's what it looks like where they are. And there are some needs that are there, but you still matter. Fathers and uncles are being stopped, and mothers are being stopped by the police. I wanted them to know that you matter and you're important. And then on the other side of that, there was a little bit of backlash with teachers, feeling like, well, some parents saying, well, if I'm teaching at home, what do we need the educators for? And then letting my teachers know that you still matter, whether you're in the building, whether you're in front of a computer, you are still doing a job. And so I feel like we have to bring in social studies. We can't forget about it. And social studies can be like what's happening right now today, talking to our kids about those things. So you've got your life skills, you have your social lessons and what's happening in the world. And then I'm going to push in there. They need to know the Negro National Anthem. Those are things that I was taught in elementary school. We can't forget about those things. So we still have to put on these layers of education. And you're right, it's not just the reading, the writing, arithmetic. It's more than that.
And it's funny you think about the current events. I'm a date myself. Anybody remember Channel 1? Remember Channel 1 would come on every day in school, and it was like your current events of what's happening in the world. They don't have things like this, even in the high school. They don't have things like that anymore. And it's challenging when teachers feel underappreciated, like Cherish was saying, of why parents are saying, well, why do we need teachers if I'm teaching at home? Because your child doesn't know how to log on for Google Classroom. They know how to TikTok, those type of things.
Right.
I'm off my soapbox. Anybody else want to chime in on how important? Go ahead.
I got 3 E's. Carolyn Roberts, we talk about mentorship, another church mother of mine. She talks about these 3 E's that are fundamental to having a well-rounded child: to educate, explore, and expose.
Yep.
Educate, explore, and expose. The value of an education, I tell people, it gives you access. I knew from junior high when they used to have enrolls, he said, pick whatever job you want. We could pick whatever car we want. And he was like, well, you got to make this amount of money. If you don't have a high school degree, diploma, how you plan on doing it? So we got, oh, snap. I knew the value of education very early. But then also exposing. If I'm not exposing to stuff, oftentimes like, oh, Black people don't do that. We don't do that. We don't know better. So example, Carolyn Roberts, her son, my mom was the church director for the youth. She took us out to the Worthing. You know, the Worthington was a big thing downtown Fort Worth, right? And the waiter asked Marcus, how would you like your hamburger? And he was like, what you mean, fried? And he's not knowing, well done, medium rare, but she's exposing him to what it means to eat at a fine eating area. So fast forward, now he's a lawyer in Atlanta. I was like, oh, you can afford whatever you want now, right? So they educate, expose, and then explore. You have to explore the unknown. You all working with the babies where the soil is fertile. And so how we're exposing them to explore the different avenues of, you have an opportunity. Adai said she came from a family of educators, right? That's a privilege. And so now she has the beautiful insight to now pour into somebody else of what this exploring the avenue of, like, least try it to know you don't like it, opposed to make an assumption. So those 3 E's: educate, explore, and expose.
Kim said educators matter. I was an educator and I depend on you all every day doing virtual learning. Thank you, Kim, for sharing that, because some days we don't know if we're coming or going. We just know we got to show up and have your cameras on.
Right. Right.
Let me see. Where am I going now? What was that aha moment where you just knew you made the best decision to be an educator? What was that aha moment when you're like, you know what? I think I'm pretty good at this thing. Or you may have several, but what was one when you were just like, okay, I was kind of questioning this thing and I think I got it now?
I have a story, an aha moment. So this was probably like my 4th or 5th year teaching. My teaching experience was 3rd and 4th grade students. And I had a great class, loved them. They loved me, but they hated reading time. They just, they would go from hyped up to they just didn't want to do it. And so I was trying to find text to really pull them in. And so I found a novel and I started reading it aloud just to pull them in, and they loved it. They started going to the library, checking out the series. And then one day, one of my students, one of my favorites, his name is Roderick. Roderick is probably like a senior in high school now. So Roderick walks in with the copy of a book I'd let him borrow. And he was like, Miss Pipkins, this book goes hard. And everybody was like, yeah, I don't know. It was just like a whole pep rally. But I felt like I reached my one. I needed him to know that there's enjoyment in reading, and he hyped up my whole class. And so I was like, yeah, I got this. I can teach.
I love it. This book go hard. And he was so excited about, and think about it, it's hard to get young males to read anyway. And the fact that he put his own initiative out there and read it and came back with that kind of feedback. Right. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Well, I'll jump in. I personally had a couple of moments, or a few moments, that I would highlight collectively. Being a marching band, or high school band director, specifically in marching band. Well, actually, just in band in general, it's a competitive sport, right? And so there's that aha moment anytime you win, right?
Right.
so anytime I was able to take a group into a situation where we came out with a trophy, I was like, yep, this is a job for me.
And what school were you at in Dallas?
I taught at a few schools. So let me brag for a second. When I worked at Pinkston High School, we went on, and the big competition in the early 2000s was the Battle of the Bands in the fall, right before the Grambling Prairie View game. Mm-hmm. And so we went on to win for our division for Pinkston High School. We won when I moved on to Skyline Magnet Center. We won over there too. Very fulfilling, right? And so when I left Skyline, people told me that I had been part of laying the foundation to where Skyline has now gone on to become a huge, program in the show style, traditional marching style that everybody loves. But so that was really fulfilling, and was definitely an aha moment that I was in the right field. But I want to highlight one of the schools that I worked in recently before where I am now. There was a lot of discipline issues in this school. And so this is me as an administrator. Like my day was full of just dealing with discipline, referral stacks this tall, and just really feeling like it wasn't going anywhere. Like my work was only in responding to kids that had been tossed out of class, right? Mm-hmm. And so we worked really hard in the summer leading into the next school year, partnered with teachers left and right, came up with this whole program. In case she's watching, Patrice York was a huge leader in putting together this program that we implemented with the school. And it was a huge aha moment when we started that school year, that kids, because of the structure we had laid and the buy-in that we had as a staff with implementing this new program, kids were behaved, kids were able to focus. I didn't have to deal with referrals at all. And so it just was a great lesson for me, as well as being an aha, that when you put in the work to have the structure, that kids will rise to what they're called towards, because they understand what they need, the parameters that they have to work within. So that was just a great lesson to me, that if I put in the work to give people the structure, that they can rise to the call.
I love it. I love it. I love it. What was your aha moment where you just knew it? You just knew it.
I would say maybe my second year as a coach. I actually ended up back at my high school that I graduated from, coaching under the woman who really kind of molded me and helped me become who I am today. Coach Pam Bone. She probably not watching, but she was very instrumental. Yeah, we went to we played volleyball together to the end.
Okay.
But she was very instrumental in my life, because like I said, as a middle school kid, I was off the chain. And when I got to high school as a freshman, I had a lot of things going on at home between my parents. And so it just kind of really put me in a space where I thought I didn't have to listen to nobody. I could do what I wanted to do, and I was acting a fool. So I think that's why I kind of gravitated to the kids. But anyway, when I was coaching, the kids knew I was getting ready to leave and take another position as a counselor. I was going to lead a district. And so they wrote me some beautiful messages, and I still have them. And it really touched me, because sometimes you don't realize like the things that you say, if it's really sticking with the kid. Yep. Like when they come to you and want to talk, and you're talking to them about their behavior or whatever it might be, you just don't you don't know if it's sticking. And the things that they wrote me, I'm not even emotional, but it had me in tears, because it made me realize that I was making a difference. Like, when I first came in, they was looking at me like, who is this? Because they weren't used to having a Black female coach. I mean, they weren't. And so to see me and to know she was my coach, and the respect I have for her, and the things that, just the things that I could talk to them about that nobody else maybe could relate to them, or at least they felt that way. That was a big aha moment for me. I was like, okay, I'm moving in the right direction, because you never know. And that right there just really touched me. So
I love it. Tania, did you share yours?
Look, I was gonna try to slide. It get real difficult sometime in higher ed, because you get challenged every day. Am I doing the right thing? And I think I forgot who to give credit to, but you get those affirmations. From my love language is words of affirmation. And so for me, mine comes with my students leaving notes to say thank you. 2 words, but they are so powerful in what you do. And so when students say thank you for taking the time out to talk to me and helping me navigate how to reach my goals, whether it be for the organization or for them personally, that means a lot. And so like you all get to see them graduate from high school, and sometimes I get to see them graduate from college, and then now having families. And so that's a whole nother level where you used to be breaking up, trying to avoid them getting into fights, to like, hey, Miss Tania, I'm now going on to get my master's degree. I'm like, what? So it's like, And it's given, like Kevin Sorrell said, sometimes you're planting seeds for those second season students, right? And so when they come back and say thank you, those are those aha moments, or, you know, having successes. Because I work with fraternities and sororities, I came to a community where there were only 31 people out of all the organizations together. And within a 4-year span, we shot up to like 181. And so to be at a predominantly white institution and grow a community like 400%, you're seeing the quantitative data, but also the qualitative data is that much more rich when students see the opportunity. Like, I remember you said that, like, I don't even remember me saying that, but the fact that they were listening, and Adai talked about those structures, right? You set that standard of excellence, and when students reach it, it's just like, okay, I may be okay today. I'm gonna live to see another day, because the sorority fraternity life, y'all know, particularly undergrad, ooh, it's a special calling. It's a special calling. I tell my students, it's a love-hate relationship. You may love me today, you go, man, I can't stand that woman. But
I love it.
If they gonna shine, that's what all matters at the end.
Yeah.
I love it. Justin, I see you. Justin said when his first pre-K class graduated.
Yes.
I love it. Nick, yes, UNT is in the building, Nick. I got my people with me tonight, Nick. Okay, so I got 2 more questions, and I'm gonna let you guys go. Characteristics of a bomb female educator. Everybody give me one characteristic of a bomb female educator, Black female educator. I'm gonna start out by saying patience. Because I've had some that have had to show me some patience, because I know I was a fool in school. So I'm gonna throw patience in there, and then you ladies chime in behind me.
I'm gonna jump right in. Strong. You got to be strong, because you're gonna be challenged constantly. You're gonna be doubted. You're gonna be questioned constantly. And so if you've got to be able to move forward despite all of that, and stay, you know, true to course, because the doubt and the naysayers will constantly be there.
Got it.
I'll say resourceful.
Resourceful. Okay.
Resourceful. Yeah, you got to be able to access the information real quick, because like you said, they're going to question you, but you got to be able to hit them with some facts. It's right here.
I love it.
Perseverance. You know, we quote that quote, see it through. When the times get rough, we got to see this thing through. And sometimes you may not see your way out of a situation, but you got to know through the grit and hard work, see your way through it. So perseverance would be my word.
I love it.
To me, that's the word of the week of my campus this week, perseverance. I would add to that list is inspirational. She's constantly inspiring the people around her to be more, do more, just to go and get it.
I love it. And Kim's watching Kim through and confident. If you're gonna be a Black female educator, you definitely got to be confident. And it ain't just about how I walk; it's about what I got up here too. Because like you guys, people are gonna challenge you, and that data thing is you gotta know your data. Justin said when they show you love, I love my Black female educators. Black girls rock. Thank you, brother, for watching. I got one more. We're gonna have a little fun with this as we get ready to close out for the night. I'm sorry I got you guys a little bit over. I love y'all for hanging in there with me. What have been your top 5 proudest moments? What's your top 5? Your top 5. Your top 5 as a and if you know what, you know what, education, I'm gonna give an accommodation and a modification. if you can't give me 5, give me what you can. Think about your proudest moments. What's some of your proudest moments?
You didn't preface with this question.
Right, you're supposed to come with something fun, something short and simple. She said 17 years.
Okay. Popcorn and give me one.
Okay.
This one came up like an hour ago. All the rest of them I had. This one just popped up. Like I said, well, let me try this. What's a proud moment for you as a Black female educator doing the damn thing? You're in the trenches every day. You're serving parents and students day in and day out. You're putting up with the attitudes from the staff. One day they like you, the next day they hate you. You're putting up to you got the parent that pull up to the parking lot that's parked wrong, that you got to go out there with your vest on, with your reflective vest on, and say, "Can you move your car, please?" And they want to give you some lip, and you're trying to stay professional, but she don't know these pearls will come off with these earrings in a minute. But I'm in leadership right now, so I can't go there, and these kids are watching. But what's been that was a small win for somebody just by not going off. But what's been a proud moment for you? You know what? I'll even tweak it since we've gone virtual. Since we've gone virtual, what's been a proud moment for you as a Black female educator from the campus that you serve, or with the staff that you work with, or even at home working with your own baby?
Yeah. Well, I'll start because I've got something that's popped in my head as you've helped us to find our answer, right?
That's what I'm here for.
But I'm really proud of the community that I'm with right now, and that we have maintained a sense of community, even though we really miss seeing each other. And I think that has come from being very deliberate in scheduling very frequent meetings, which have been hard to do, but with the entire community. So we have weekly coffee with the principals that are in the evening now. They were in the mornings, which made sense with the name, but now they're in the evenings. But we have probably about 50% of the community that comes regularly because they want to see each other. They want to hear the newest, the most up-to-date news. There's time and space to talk about how you're doing, how you're dealing with everything. And I've just been really proud that we have kept our community together. And I think it's had a direct impact with participation levels now that we're actually doing academic work on a daily basis. We have one of the top attendance rates in our whole school district. And I attribute that directly to us staying connected. And so I'm really proud of the sense of community that we've maintained.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Somebody jump in.
We are like, you go now, you go.
That's a really tough question, Doc. But I would say kind of along those same lines, when you're new to a space, I know for me, when I was first named principal of my campus, there was some resistance because you're the new girl.
Mm-hmm.
And so, there are resistance from some staff members. There's resistance from some parents. Just, who are you? What are you about? We don't know you, but we don't like you. That type of thing. Mm-hmm. So to go from that and to grow with my staff, students, community into we're together. Now it's common for you to hear them say, I'm with RHE or RHE Excellence, or parents post and use our hashtag, and teachers hyping up the things that we're doing on our campus. So I've really been proud of the growth that we've made together, because it hasn't been a just me or just them. It has really been our entire community. So that's a proud moment for me.
I love it when they're able to see themselves in the picture. It's like, you got the same glasses that I had. Now you can clearly see that we're all in this together. RHE Excellence. I love it. I love it. I love it. Who's next?
I'll go. So, with all of this stuff that's been going on and trying to get students enrolled in school, just, I'll say like our support staff that normally is not as involved in some of those things, like our teachers' assistants, our in-school suspension teacher, people like that who stepped up to the call. They've answered the call. Like, they are on the phone, they are calling parents, they are showing up to the school, even though they don't have to be there because they have enough time to be at home and actually doing virtual whatever. They've come to the school, they've asked, what do you need me to do? They're reaching out to people. And not only that, but also just in our immediate vicinity of our campus, the community members that are actually stepping up and reaching out to us, like, what do you need? We actually have a food. We're giving away some fresh fruits and vegetables this Saturday for parents to just come and pick those things up, just showing them that we are here, even though we're not open, for you to come in like you normally can. Just the fact that we're all coming together. I think it's kind of, along the same lines of what you two ladies were talking about, just the sense of community and knowing that even in this time, this pandemic, we are all still in this together and we need each other. Like it's not, the school is not against you, you know, the parents are not against the school. It's just everybody's trying to navigate their way through what our new normal is. And so just, you know, I've been really pleased with just seeing our staff come together to really try to help each other out, especially the teachers too, because of all this new technology they're having to do. That's been amazing to see how some of these teachers have stepped up to actually become more in a leadership role, like taking on the, you know, this veteran teacher who knows nothing really about doing Google Meets and all this other stuff. Yes. Yes, and they're stepping up and they're training these teachers and they're doing it on their own time. Nobody even asked them to do it. You know, they're teaching them how to build their websites and all that kind of stuff. I mean, that's amazing to me that nobody is having to tell you that, you know, and they're just stepping up and doing it because they see a need. And I think that's what education is all about, really. That's what we want them to do. We want to develop and grow people to come up and assist and be leaders. So, yeah.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
All right, so I guess I'm gonna bring it home. But
bring it home, please. Bring it home.
I bring it home, the one thing I want to acknowledge with the ladies that I have the opportunity to serve on this panel with, you asked us a question about our proudest moment. And if you recognize one thing about a Black woman who's confident about herself, she's able to acknowledge other people, right? And each one of them acknowledged the parents, other women, other people who work along with them to help them do what they do. So we have to be able to acknowledge that space, to be able to share that energy with you all, because not every woman can do that. It could be about me, but y'all made it about them. And so I wanted to honor and recognize that piece. And so to kind of keep that same thread sewing, I want to acknowledge the resilience of students. Particularly with my college students and working with fraternities and sororities, we challenge to live the positive values of their organizations. And so in this resilience format, we all came in a day and age, whether it be undergrad or graduate chapters, where we came in through a process where we had connections that was personal. We were in a ritual that we did it with people, you know, along with us in spaces where we can touch. Now we're having to move to virtual membership process where it makes it twice as hard to find that sense of connection. And so for students to be able to be resilient, to host quality programs that talk about social justice advocacy, talks about health and wellness, talks about mental health, they're finding ways to overcome those challenges. And then also that advocacy piece. Because we're talking about those intersections of identity as an African American in 2020 and today, was it September 23rd? It's real. Right? We get all stuff left and right. So now they have to do what their founders did and advocate in social justice and protest, and then be students, some of them working 40 plus hours, some of them are parents, some of them are partners, and then God forbid, somewhere they got to take care of self. So the resiliency that they have to overcome those challenges in this pandemic, because the pandemic is not only from a health mentality, it's from a mental mentality. And so when you learn how to balance that and say, I understand what I'm in, but I'm still looking ways to overcome, that's what I appreciate about my students, is that sense of resiliency.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So if you're just chiming in, they all just went around and shared some amazing and phenomenal proud moments that they've experienced as Black female educators. And the good thing I love about the panel tonight was each of those moments, like Tania was saying, was tied to others' experiences and others, and it wasn't just about them. So it's just, these are just other strong characteristics that a proud Black female educator has to have. You have to be able to acknowledge others because they always are knowledgeable of the fact that they can't do this stuff by themselves. Ladies and gentlemen, I am so elated that these amazing ladies have joined me on tonight. If you're just tuning in, we have just completed tonight's episode of Dialogues with Doc. This was the Black Female Educator edition. I had some amazing guests on with me tonight, Miss Tania McGee, Mrs. Tania McGee, Mrs. Ada Carter, Mrs. Cherish Pipkins, and Mrs. Kendra Sanders. Thank you all for joining me on tonight on this panel. I appreciate each and every one of you. I love you guys so much. Thank you for coming on and sharing, inspiring, motivating, and being the CEOs, the true CEOs that you are, the Chief Encouragement Officers. I love that, Cherish. That's been in my head earlier. Is there any last words you guys want to share? Anything you may be working on personally, businesses? shout out to school, your parents, any of that kind of stuff. I want to give you guys an opportunity before we log off. Thank you for bearing with me tonight. I did go overtime. I do apologize. I'm gonna send y'all something. I promise. It may be a little $5 gift card for Starbucks, but that's some coffee that get you through one of those days. Kendra, what's going on with you?
Yeah, that's not even necessary. I just want to thank you, Dr. Green, for the honor of being included in this panel. It was a pleasure. And like I told you, I skipped out on a standing meeting to come and be here with you guys. So it really is a testament of what my respect for you and for what you're doing here with this group. But I want to shout out my community who I was not with because of this. But so shout out to the squirrels at Sequoia Elementary School in Oakland. We are doing some amazing work at that school. We are focused on social justice and on equity. And so we are having meetings every week in discussion about having an equitable enrollment process in our schools so that our school can reclaim the diversity that we once had, because our community has become gentrified. And so our population looks a little bit different than it did back in the day. And so we are working to get our Black and brown students back into our school. And so I just want to shout out my school for even being interested in that work in the first place, and for partnering along with me to, make some positive change in the interest of equity.
Thank you, Squirrels. I'm sorry I stole it for tonight. I owe you guys. Who's next? Anybody?
I want to thank you as well, Doc. We really appreciate you giving us this chance. I feel like I've known you all for years. In just this short amount of time, there were so many points of connection there. But I do want to shout out the students, staff, and parents of Rolling Hills Elementary. You all have really, truly taken on a sense of resilience. And I love your bounce backness that you had. We've just been able to really put this technology on our back and push through. I appreciate all of them. And I do want to shout out a personal business. My husband owns J. Pips Chips. That is a cookie business, phenomenal cookies. So if you have a sweet tooth, you can visit jpipschips.com, #get you some for some delicious treats. You don't want to miss out. I'm telling you, they're addictive. So get you some.
I'm on the website now. Let me
come on, jpipschips.com.
I'm on mute, y'all. I'm putting on my fat boy. I'm sorry.
I just want to say again, I know I told you in a personal chat that we had Dr. Green, but I just want to thank you again for, even thinking of me and, for this panel. Like, this has been amazing. It was amazing to sit on a panel with such amazing Black women who out here doing their thing. And so I really appreciate the opportunity. I want to shout out my middle school in Fort Worth, Wedgwood Middle School, the Warriors, my principal and my other administrators that I work with. It's a great group of people. It's definitely different than when it was when I was in school. The demographics have changed, and so the mindset has to change of those people who were there and experienced that time. But it's coming along, and we're doing the work, and we're gonna get there. I also want to shout out my parents, and my brother and sister, because they are like my village, my husband as well, and my kids, because they put up with my long hours and all of that stuff and my attitude when I come home. And like tonight, and they haven't had dinner yet, and I'm not cooking, so I don't know what they gonna eat, but I ain't cooking. They gotta put up with me and all my stuff, but it's okay. I shout them out. And also, I did tell you that I started a business during this pandemic. It is called Gifts Through Grace by Kendra. I am on Instagram, so you can follow that, Gifts Through Grace. I make welcome signs and t-shirts and masks and whatever you want me to make, I probably can create it. Just again, thanks, many thanks to everybody, really. Anybody I've ever touched, thank you.
I love it. KP, can you put in the chat, KP, the Instagram handle?
I sure will.
Okay.
So this is funny. I'm gonna make it all y'all laugh and give you a throwback. We go back to Big Freaky, Kerr Beach, Won't he do it? Lord, we have overcome but God. And so, Calvin, I thank you for this opportunity. Like, we are all interconnected, whether it's Black Girl Joy and we're doing this, if it's UNT, we're doing this, it's at Everman High School. This has been pouring into my cup, and so when we talk about an empty cup, this has definitely been pouring into my cup. So one, I want to honor you and say thank you. As we are being queens, you are being a king, to acknowledge your female counterparts. So allowing us to come to the table, I say thank you. And giving recognition, I want to give a shout out to some of my family members. I saw my mama, a couple of my aunts out there, my uncle. So shout out to everybody on the live and supporting. And then, like Adai said, shout out to my husband, for, like Kendra said, look, some days it's rough and they put up with our mess. And so we appreciate y'all for showing up for us. And, ladies, we can't be remiss. And so as D9 women, as Black women, I have to give my recognition to Zeta, Phi Beta, Sorority Incorporated, because it is our centennial year. So yes, and look, all the way from A to Z, we're going to be excellent. Right. So I think I want to give all those shout outs, but thank you for giving us this platform and allowing us to share this conversation.
Thank you, ladies, so much. I appreciate you all so much for hanging out with me tonight. I know you guys' schedules are busy, but I thank you guys so much. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been this week's edition of Dialogues with Doc, the Black Female Educator edition. I hope and I pray that you were enriched and engaged by something each of my panelists said. Please make sure you share the broadcast, as there are a lot of women that need to hear this great information, and they just need someone to inspire and encourage them and pour back into their cup as well, because you guys do an amazing and a Herculean job each and every day, day in and day out. I'll be back again next Wednesday at 8:00 p.m. for Dialogues with Doc. I will see you guys again next week. Bye, guys.